Hi there, you're listening to Unnatural Selection, the show about newsy type stuff and things. My name is George.
My name is Tom.
And my name is Adam.
And with our powers combined, we are Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com.
Gentlemen, this week we have just launched straight into a video with literally no prep or discussion about how the stories are going to flow or what's going on, and I'm feeling very loose, so let's get into it.
I find it very funny because, Adam, you say that like that's not what we do every week. I mean, we might discuss... We do discuss all those things that you just said, but I feel that never has any bearing on how the episode goes anyway. Like, we have the prep chat, but is it really a prep chat if the prep is not then executed?
I love it when a plan doesn't come together. That's what I've always said.
True. Yeah, that's true. The classic Liam Neeson line.
Yes, indeed. Off whatever that movie is, the A-Team.
The A-Team. And it's funny because the A-Team was a okay. It's better when I explain the joke.
Speaking of movies, yes. I went and saw Encanto today.
What'd you call me, mate?
Yep. So I just thought we'd pop this one into the show because I thought it was funny. The movie is called Encanto, but if you say that really quickly with a thick Australian accent, that definitely doesn't sound like a children's film.
Yes, because the context in which you brought it up earlier was saying that you were the birthday celebrations of a young relative and saying, and we went to see Encanto. And I was like, what? You took a child to see what?
It was very lazy on the vowel sound and the second part of the word. Yep.
Like, hilarious proximity to swear words aside. How was the movie? I've never heard of this film. What is it?
Well, it's the new Lin-Manuel Miranda Disney film after the success even of Moana, picking up off the coattails of that, and a fresh story set in South America with magic and a family that basically is kind of like a bunch of feudal lords to this local region, but it's also about how family, we just all need to get along, and it's about sort of everyone accepting each other and really, the family coming together to ensure that the magic being love, I guess is an analogy of that, stays alive. But also the town that we're next to, they can come and serve us because we're basically their feudal lords. But that's fine. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
and it's about families not getting along, then presumably so as then the message can become we should all get along. So who of the family is the Encanto, so to speak?
Well, that would be...
It's a family show, Tom.
It flips you. It's actually a really complicated plot for a children's film. I was struggling to follow it.
Plot isn't like quite dense.
There's a cast of thousands. There's literally about 10 to 12 main characters, and like they do this introduction song where they're like, we're going to introduce the whole cast. And it's that quick. I couldn't even, I needed subtitles. I couldn't work out who was going. That's the chick that can hear real good. That's the chick that's really strong. Who's that chick again? Is she just a side plot? I don't know what's going on. And then by the end of it, you're like, who's the real bad guy here? But it turns out there is no bad guy. It's just everyone has their own real sort of their own objectives, and they're all just going after their own objectives. But the real, nice part of the story is when all those objectives align and they all come back together as a family unit and the magic survives. I just spoiled the plot of that film, but that's fine.
No, I feel like I kind of figured that's where it was going to end up.
Yeah.
Being a Disney film. At any point, does anyone go, Eliza? Does that happen at all? Or
No, that's
damn.
Classic
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah. Just throw it in. Just see what happens.
Throw in some. There was lots of
Hamilton fans out there. With some kids.
Yes.
This has got gin in it, by the way. I sort of woke up about 10 minutes before we started recording. So,
wow, that's a long sleep.
I took a nap. I didn't sleep for 18 hours.
Right. I was going to say, is that Adam showing also his glass of gin?
No, that's just water. Although,
this is vodka.
Oh,
no.
Oh, shit. Oh, no.
Oh, this show is going to be loose.
Australia.
So
not as loose as the Senate. Is that a good?
No.
Good segue.
As you know, this is a show about newsy type stuff and things. Lots of things have been happening this week, which might give one cause to nap and drink. Let's start at the top.
And drink and nap and drink and nap. Nap, nap, nap. Drink, drink, drink.
So Kerry Chant, who is the health czar over in New South Wales. What?
Are you a czar if you're not like listened to?
The health? I don't know.
Can you be the czar of something if your authority is not really recognized?
Yeah,
as this story will explain.
Also not the top, but anyway, we'll keep going.
She's the chief health officer, isn't she?
She is.
Yeah. So anyway, she was ignored.
Totally derailed George. George, how strong is that G&T?
Cooked him.
Not strong enough, obviously. So the New South Wales government imposed harsh lockdown restrictions on the poorest areas of Sydney's west and southwest, despite Chief Health Officer Dr. Kerry Chant advising that the rules should be implemented consistently across Greater Sydney. So this was during the lockdowns a couple months ago in mid-August.
That sounds interesting because it's kind of like that. Those were the lockdowns where just
where we all criticised them for locking down areas of Western Sydney and not Bondi Beach and the northern beaches.
Yeah, and also kind of like, oh hey, so if you don't lock down properly, that'll spread to the rest of the country.
And then it did.
And then it kind of did a bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
From memory.
Yeah, it kind of did. And also just people were generally confused. Like, wait, so hang on, what do I have to do compared to what you have to do? And
local government areas versus those local government areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out we're just going by the health advice. And the health advice, please know, the health advice says that we should implement inconsistent, patchy lockdowns with terrible communication. And turns out Kerry Chant says, no, that's not what I said.
Yeah, well, and I remember at the time there was a big deal of people saying, well, can we see the health advice? Like you say that this is all based on the health advice. Can we see the health advice? And they went, no, obviously not. And it's like, oh, that seems above board.
Health advice at this time of day, at this time of year, localized entirely within your kitchen. Yes, can I see it? No.
Yeah.
Apparently, the only reason why we know about this as well is because it was released under a parliamentary order, which was like, oh, well, you've got to release all the information on the health advice. Obviously,
you got us.
So
you got me good.
Turns out there were emails back and forth. Oh, who would have thought that emails could potentially come back to bite people?
Emails in government.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that there'd be emails in government?
Yeah, and that it's just very funny that, as we say, like Dr. Chant's, inconsistent measures across Sydney, but it also included things like outdoor masks, 5-kilometre travel rule, and only authorised workers being able to move about. Which, I don't know, fellas, that sounds really similar to
what state
the
did
other
exactly
lockdown that
that?
happened,
I don't know.
where there was a lot of rage and against them, particularly from the federal government for doing such a thing.
No, I can't think of any examples where that's happened.
Yeah,
where
their guys got the same advice.
Implemented a different lockdown entirely. That's so weird.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like politicizing a response to a pandemic was a massively poor choice.
Not a great idea. So obviously you're listening to the Well Obviously show where we talk about the things that obviously happened. I mean, like, I knew about this at the time. We knew it was happening. Like, we knew Kerry Chant was being sidelined and not listened to. And it's just like, I mean, great, we get a small amount of vindication, but I still think the media narrative going forward was like, oh, poor Gladdy. Gladdy was hard done by. It's because she had a nasty boyfriend that she got taken out. And the lesson here is that commissions against corruption are bad. And it's like, no, the lesson was Gladys Berejiklian was wrong and ignored the health advice and kicked off another national outbreak, which we're now still in the midst of winding down and living in, months later. But that's all right. She'll be probably running for the seat of Warringah. And too corrupt for state politics, but just corrupt enough for federal politics. Nice. Love it.
That election, that pre-selection. What are we? That's step 12 or something, isn't it? On the what are we on the? I'll have to go look at the chart again in terms of.
Wow, yeah, she's plowed through the steps. Then
she hasn't. Is it long enough for it to go away? Just enough, just long enough. But yeah, look, it's interesting and it's galling, I guess, because she sat there literally for months being like, "This is the health advice. This is the health advice." But if it, it's like, well, if it's not the health advice, how can you stand there and just keep saying that over and over again?
Because their
without
job
fucking
is to
blinking?
be bullshit artists. They lie, Eliza.
Yep.
This is
It
what
also
they do.
gives me-
This is their job. Their job is to get up there in front of the public and just talk bullshit. It's like
Well,
us, but they get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, just to get up there and justify what they're doing.
Yeah. I did the thing that I always wanted to do anyway, which is whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And then, what's your justification? I don't know, the health advice. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, it's fine. It only, led to the deaths of several hundred people across the country. It's all good.
I can't
Don't
wait for
worry
the
about
Peter
it's really
Credlin
fun.
documentary about this one. There's a Peter Credlin documentary about Dan Andrews that she won a fucking Bogan Walkley for. What are those called again?
I've already forgotten what the Kennedys.
The
That's
Kennedy.
right.
She won the
Kennedy.
Kennedy Award for a fucking deep probing expose up the arsehole of Dan Andrews for his response to the pandemic. Can't wait for the follow-up, Peter. Can't wait for the fucking follow-up, Peter Credlin, about Gladys and all her fucking failings in detail and 90 minutes on Sky News. Can't fucking wait for that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. Where's Peter Credlin's Tiger King 2? It's gonna be wonderful.
Tiger
Follow
King
up the
2,
crazy
more
story.
tigers.
Yeah.
This time with more bite.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So should we go? I guess the next story is probably more federal related. Do we want to go to Peter Dutton's defamation, or do you want to go literally in the order of the rundown?
let's
Which
see.
is, in fact, it is actually next on the rundown. So
There you go.
let's go with Peter
Yeah,
Dutton.
Peter
There you go.
Dutton.
Yeah, so no matter which one it is, Adam, the same story. Yeah, let's talk about Mr. Potato Head, shall
Potato
we?
Head. Really interesting. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that the federal government, and particularly ministers from the federal government, the liberal side of politics, and even Barilaro, New South Wales state politics, but they've all got this sort of through line, which is that if I don't like what someone's saying, I'm going to sue them for defamation, and they sue them for defamation, and then often doesn't quite work out in their favour. And Peter Dutton, I didn't know this, has also been suing people for defamation, as it turns out.
Well, yeah, he sued and he won.
At least in this instance, yeah. We know of one.
So Peter Dutton won his defamation case against the refugee activist Shane Bazzi over a tweet labeling him a, quote, rape apologist, unquote. And Wednesday, the federal court ruled in favor of the defense minister over a tweet that he said had deeply offended him because it went beyond the rough and tumble of politics. The judge ordered damages of $35,000 to be paid, but refused Dutton's bid for an injunction to prevent Bazzi tweeting about him, which, that is terrifying. That a federal government minister can, not only win a defamation case against you, take you for a bunch of money. As far as defamation settlements go, $35.
It's pretty small.
Pretty small. But
for an individual, that's a lot. If I got hit with a $35,000
Plus legal
having to pay
fees.
out just because I called Peter Dutton something on
Yes.
Twitter, fuck yeah, that'd ruin me.
yes. And not to mention all the legal costs and all that sort of stuff as well on top of that. And this guy's I understood he was an unemployed refugee activist. It's not like the guy's got deep pockets. He hasn't got any anonymous donors putting in $1 million into a blind trust for him because he's a regular fucking person. But yeah, the idea that a government minister could then gag you from ever tweeting about them again after that as well is borderline terrifying. So I'm glad that
Yes.
didn't happen.
Yes, thankfully the judge had more sense in that sense, I suppose.
I feel like it was a pretty even-handed response. It was pretty obvious that he had sort of defamed him, but also that the significance of that, the damage caused by that tweet was pretty
Minimal
minor in the
because
scheme
the
of things.
guy doesn't have a lot of followers. It's not like...
And also, the tweet was deleted relatively quickly and got retweeted 10 times or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should
so
we?
Very
Yeah.
small.
Which also was how did Peter Dutton? I guess he was tagged in it, which is probably why he picked up on it.
Yeah, this is if one is looking to defame someone, it's not generally recommended to at them on Twitter. If you're going to straight up defame someone, you probably want to subtweet them. That's generally the rule. I've been told.
So what they were talking about was, so in 2019, Bazzi tweeted, Peter Dutton is a rape apologist, and it included an article, or 2019 Guardian article, which was reporting on comments by Dutton that some female refugees were trying it on by making claims that they had been raped and needed to travel to Australia from offshore detention to receive abortions.
So
the tweet was published.
As though the claims weren't legitimate. That's the implication.
Correct. Yeah. In inverted commas, for those listening at home. Then the thing was, the tweet was published on the same day Dutton had said he didn't know if the she said, he said, also in inverted commas, details of Brittany Higgins' allegation of rape. So basically, it was kind of like he did two sort of faux pas around the concept of, I guess, women's rights in the space of 24 hours.
I love that we're like very gingerly describing them as faux pas when these seem like horrible, vile things to say about human beings. But like,
true,
because we're rightly concerned about how litigious Peter Dutton is about commentators on the internet, we're just all of a sudden it's in inverted commas the gentleman said, suggesting we're not as bold as we might otherwise be.
Although Tom has been very bold previously. There's been a lot of invitations to lick certain assholes in particular contexts. So I don't know why we're stopping now.
Is it defamatory to say that he is more than welcome to eat my asshole?
Yeah, it's a cordial invitation. It doesn't say anything about
it's an invitation. Doesn't mean that he either would. Like, I don't know what, like, the closest you could get to defamatory about that is that implying that he eats asshole, in which case I don't think that lowers his reputation in the eyes of a reasonable adult. Grow up, eat ass.
Jesus Christ. Anyway. It doesn't. The judge said that he, quote, accepted in a general way that Dutton's comments about the Higgins allegation may have prompted Bazzi's tweet, but said it was not part of his job to say whether the criticisms of Dutton were justified. So he has won his case against Bazzi. It's
what do we think Peter Dutton will do with $35,000?
Like, what's on the plan for that? Not rape apologist Peter Dutton will do is neither here nor there. And certainly I don't want to give the misimpression that the words rape apologist and Peter Dutton should be connected in perpetuity, because as we know, the court has successfully found in Mr. Dutton's favour to show that he is not, in fact, a rape apologist. So the last thing I want to do is make sure that the words rape apologist and Peter Dutton are connected in perpetuity forever for SEO purposes. That's the last thing that anyone wants. You know what I mean?
Given the
seriousness and
audio described,
the gravity of the situation, you really don't want two things like rape apologist and Peter Dutton being connected forever in perpetuity. That's not what you want.
No, the initial question was, what is he doing with the 35K? But I would say...
Sorry, I was answering my own question.
Sorry, you were. That's fine. You obviously don't want to have the words rape apologist and Peter Dutton in the same sentence because they might connect over and over again. Yeah. But no, I reckon he's going to Bali. It's probably...
Okay. You don't think he's going to take a little day trip up to Nauru, maybe?
Maybe not. He'll be on the
I hear he's popular over there. So... Yeah, the satire headlines following this I found were quite amazing and like especially bold given what happened.
Given what the fuck just happened.
I believe the Chase's headline of "Massive Cunt Wins Defamation Case" takes the cake.
Encanto.
Yes, was.
They were referencing the Disney movie El Canto.
Yeah.
Encanto.
To encant someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the precedence of this is just terrifying because it also comes into the context of Peter Dutton has previously made comments that he believes that an entitlement that ministers should have is like a taxpayer funded like pool of money to be able to litigate cases such as this as like part of the job, a job entitlement that you should be able to do these petty lawsuits.
part of my fringe benefits tax. You put it on your ATO form. Oh, so what'd you get? Oh, I got some reimbursements for the car. Got some reimbursements to the internet. Obviously, got my my
legal fees
my
paid
legal
for.
fund.
Yeah.
For
Obviously got my
for suing people for saying things about me I don't like.
Yeah. I've obviously got my legal fund of fund to just I call it the chasing Tom Heath for saying I should eat his ass fund.
Mhm.
Like purely that's all it's for.
It was an invitation, Tom.
Yeah. Oh, it was an invitation.
He's been cordially
And he's
invited.
still
Is there an
more than
RSVP?
welcome.
Is there an RSVP date on that invitation? Like, does he have to get back to you by the end of
it
December
is
or something?
Open invitation.
Is there a registry?
Like my asshole, the invitation will be open.
Okay, great.
This is
Only on
the most disgusting. My mother listens to this. This is the worst running joke.
George.
Oh my
She
god!
should know better.
It's the best.
From like a decade of us doing this, your mother should know better.
There were worse.
Hi, Grace.
Back in 2013.
Thanks for listening.
Earlier. Anyway.
It hasn't gotten better, Mum. I'm sorry.
Nah.
Good. My mum deliberately doesn't listen to this because she knows that we're filthy. So probably a good choice, Catherine. Now, on
Barbara.
the subject, Barbara.
Sorry, I thought we were just all saying our mother's names.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Sorry, go on.
Now we can release all our personal information onto the internet and have our identities stolen.
My third grade teacher was Mrs. Haley. So if anyone's trying to crack any passwords, my mother's maiden name is Grace.
I was born in anyway.
That's
a.
Yeah, no.
I was going to say that's a first name.
First name. Her maiden name is
right.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Nice try,
no,
Tom. I know you're trying to hack me.
No. This
nice
is
try,
why
bro.
you always don't give truthful answers to those questions. You make one up and remember that.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Is I barely remember the true answers to the real questions, let alone.
That's why you bury it in a little bit of truth.
Wasn't you? It was
I can't
you
explain
who was telling me that your brother your brother puts fake questions in fake answers and fake questions in his security questions.
Yeah,
and he puts different answers in different places
because he's got a public profile. So obviously you could look up. You could obviously look up when he was born.
Right.
So when it asks like, "Oh, what's your birth date?" he just doesn't enter the right one. He's picked a different one.
Jack Heath is 95 years old.
He looks good.
He looks great. Looks great for 95.
He looks very good for 95. Terrible for
34. Meanwhile, Medicare are just like, what else going on here?
Yeah,
I don't know about this, mate.
Sorry, Mr. Heath, you are 55 years beyond your last prostate exam. We've got to check that.
Swallow like a melon. So, from one terrible federal member of politics to another, Pauline Hanson.
Oh no,
Pauline.
Haven't heard from her in a while.
I know they've been secretly gathering. It's like Sauron.
Forces gathering in the darkness.
Yeah.
I just feel like
been off gathering his armies.
Yeah, I feel like Craig Kelly's kind of replaced Pauline Hanson as just the currently elected official who's bonkers, and we hear from them all the time saying they're insane madness.
It's
will the member for
it's like like
pipe down.
The concept of how do you put out a fire? Well, you start an even bigger fire next to it. So at the moment, we've just got a bigger nuke going off next to the pre-existing nukes that were detonated a couple of years ago with the One Nation. So Clive Palmer is now the active nuclear weapon in politics.
Weapons grade fucking moron.
Weapons grade moron.
One Nation's anti-COVID vaccine mandate bill has been rejected in the Senate, despite 5 government senators crossing the floor to support it. And it's the usual suspects of fuckwittery. Matt Canavan, Sam McMahon, Conchita Fierravanti-Wells, Gerard Rennick, and Alex Antic, up to his old antics, voting for the One Nation. So in case you're thinking, wait, maybe I didn't hear that correctly. One Nation's got a vaccine mandate bill. That sounds good. That must be a good thing, surely. No, it's the anti-COVID vaccine mandate. bill.
Yes,
It's
it is a bill.
anti-mandates.
It is a mandate about vaccine mandates, but it does not mandate vaccines.
Yes.
No, and would
It's
override
the popular People's Front of Judea, not the Judean People's Front.
Judean people. What the Romans ever given us? Clean roads, life-saving vaccines. Aside from clean roads and vaccines, what have the Romans ever given us? Education. Oh yeah, well you can't fault the education, but aside from life-saving vaccines, roads, and education, what have the Romans ever given us? Nothing.
This legislation also would override any state health orders. So this is why it's so dangerous. Is that obviously if it's a federal law that's passed, then it would, affect any state sort of authorities going down, which is pretty awkward. If you've got
discrimination against the people that choose not to imbibe
to endanger themselves and others.
The life-saving vaccine.
Oh, good.
In the fields of goods, services, facilities, employment, education, accommodation, and sport. So you could not have to have a vaccine and still work and do all your things if you work in any one of those sectors. Although the field of goods and services is very, very broad.
Incredibly.
Yeah,
money can be exchanged for goods and services, and where can you spend money?
Yeah, almost anything.
A lot of places.
Almost anything is a good and or service. So yeah, the good news is the people that the powerfully stupid people that have done this, that have tried to put this through, are also incredibly powerful people in that they're all Australian federal senators. But thankfully it didn't get passed, and vaccine mandates will still sort of be the case. Different states have different approaches to it, and like at what levels things sort of cut off, where people need to be vaccinated or not vaccinated to do certain things. But like broadly speaking, in Australia, if you want to go to work and do things around other people and, work in aged care, work in health, like if you want to do those things, you need to be vaccinated in order to do them. And
unless you're in Western Australia, in which case you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I mean, last time, if you ever see a person, then you might have to worry about it. But it shouldn't happen too frequently in Western Australia. So it's a real big place.
Big, it's very big.
It's huge.
Highlight for my mind though was Jackie Lambie's debate on this topic. In that she screamed like my mother at the Australian Senate, and look, I've got to say, it got the old heartstrings going. It gave you a bit of a flutter. I thought, who is this bogan Tasmanian? But she's speaking the truth. Let me tell you.
Well, she's screaming the truth. Would you like to see a clip of it?
I would love to see a clip of it. Play it again, Sam.
Well, let's get that up. Here we go. So it's Jackie Lambie getting very upset that someone's broken her favourite lamp.
It's scot-free. I don't think so. Not on my watch. Here's the thing. Being held accountable for your own actions isn't called discrimination. It's called being, you wouldn't believe it, a goddamn bloody adult. That's right, it's being an adult. It's putting others before yourself. And that's what this country's supposed to be about. We don't have lockdowns and border restrictions because state premiers love discrimination. That's rubbish. We have them because state premiers don't want people dying. Because they don't want to be playing Russian roulette with their own people's lives. That's why they're doing it. That is why they're doing it. One Nation is the champion for the right for unvaccinated, COVID-carrying mainlanders to come to Tasmania and create an outbreak. I don't think so. It's not going to happen under my watch, and I doubt very much if it's going to happen under Premier Gutman's watch. We're not going to stand for it. One Nation are just the enemy of health workers and officials who would have to clean up after the outbreak. Everybody pays for COVID-19. Every day we have to deal with lockdown and restrictions is a day when a business goes bust, a family breaks down in despair, and a person takes their own life. The way out of lockdowns and restrictions is vaccinations because there is nothing else on the table. Let's be honest about that. It's how we protect ourselves and it's how we protect each other. It's how we stand together. It's how we fight back. It is the only weapon we have. And we need to do everything we possibly can to keep ourselves safe, our kids safe, our grandchildren safe, and our friends and family. That's what we need to do. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made. They have to be made. You are patriots. We should be celebrating vaccinated Australians. You're fighting for our freedoms, to take control of our lives again. That's what you're doing. And good on you. It's a proud day for you today, and so it should be. Good on you for showing the courage to do so.
She's talking to me, but I feel like she's still yelling at me. It's very confusing feeling.
One of those, with Jackie Lambie, I always find I flip-flop because I don't agree with her on a lot of things, but then there are just moments where I'm like, fucking good on you. Like,
you, Dal.
10 out of 10. Like, there's another section of that speech where she just lists all the other kinds of, like, mandates that there are to work. Like, if you want to drive a cab, you have to be licensed to drive a cab.
Yeah,
if you want to
have
work
a fucking driver's license.
Yeah, if you want to work in aged care, you need to be vaccinated against the flu. Like, all that sort of stuff. And being like, yeah, you're not being discriminated against if you just refuse to not get a cab license and then want to be a cabbie. Like, that's not discrimination. And just she goes off on it, but she throws in a little thing saying something about, and we've been doing that since before COVID was a twinkle in a Chinese bat's eye. And I'm like, Jackie was like, that doesn't undermine what you're saying because what you're saying's right, but I could have done without the joke.
I could have done without the gag.
You just had to. While I'm there being like, oh, Jackie, Anya, could have done without the Chinese bat joke. And like, come on.
This is the same lady, by the way, that when she was first elected to the Senate a couple of years ago, she went on a Hobart radio show and they were trying to hook her up with someone. And then her first question to the guy that she goes,
it was like Kyle and Jackie O or something, wasn't it?
No, it was like a Hobart radio show. They're like, are you well hung? Was her question to the person on the other side of the phone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Jesus.
She also say something about Corey Bernardi having a silver spoon up his ass and stuff as well. Like she's always been
wrong.
She's never been one to mince words. So, and you know what? That can be, I guess that's good. It's just she's not always not mincing words about things that I agree with. But she also, God damn it, I respect her in this moment. So here we go.
That. Here's the quote. Senator Jackie Lambie has apologized for telling radio listeners she was looking for a rich man with a, quote, package between their legs.
Good on her. But you know what? You go for what you want.
They must have
shame Jackie Lambie.
They must have heaps of cash and they must have a package between their legs. I don't even need them to speak.
Okay, that's a little problematic.
That was like 2017 or something.
I take it back. Well, kink shame that part of
it. She was in the Palmer United Party at the time, so she can be forgiven for saying problematic things back then.
She also had a go at Scott Morrison this week. Like she also got lots of really good feedback from her tweets because then the next time she had to go debate something, she then had a massive go at Scott Morrison for lying, and basically did the same thing. Yeah. Went full mum on the Australian Senate again. We don't have to listen to that, but it just seems to be her thing now, where she's the first thing on her website.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was just me.
I think it might be you, Tom. You seem fine to me.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm imagining Adam saying something really good, but
just so good. Can you hear me, Tom? Can you hear me now? Nope. Have we lost Tom? Is that the issue?
Oh God. Tom, no! Has it finally happened?
Look. Well, to end my
I've lost
point,
both of you. Is it my end?
Yes. Stop
talking.
What's happening?
Stop talking, Tom.
It's great radio.
I've never been more afraid. What's going on?
Turn your video off, and then it might fix itself up. Maybe.
Should I text him?
Yeah, I don't know. Do we carry a pigeon? Maybe a letter of some description that might be able to get through to him.
Okay.
I
think everything's caught up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was very funny because I was just speaking, and then I randomly got in the garble. Stop talking, Tom. Should I text him? Shut up.
And you're back in the room. No, I was just saying that, she was basically having a go at Scott Morrison for lying this week. And like her tagline on her website literally is keeping the bastards honest. So she's been doing that this week.
Good. Yeah, so was this about the Shanghai Sam thing?
Yeah.
Was lying about?
I don't know. I actually haven't followed the subject of that.
He's been being accused of lying about a lot of things, so it's like that's been a big one that's on the record, right?
Yeah.
That, people, who was it? Was it Gladys Liu? Who he was going to bat for? Like people were criticizing Gladys Liu, and he was saying it was racist the way that people were criticizing her. And then they said, well, what about when you were referring to Sam Dastyari as Shanghai Sam after his scandal with taking money from Chinese interests? And he said, "Oh, I never said that. I never did." Cue huge montage of all the times he said Shanghai Sam.
Cue Daily Show montage of all the times that you said Shanghai Sam. You must know. And if you don't know, then you've had an aneurysm and you need to go to hospital. If you don't know that these are like either you're the world's most prolific liar or you need to go to hospital now because you have forgotten large chunks of your life. Your name is Scott Morrison and you are now the Prime Minister of Australia. You are no longer the marketing manager for, what was that Lara Bingle commercial he did?
Tourism Australia.
Where the bloody hell are you?
Where the bloody hell are you? You're no longer head of Tourism Australia, mate. You are now Prime Minister. Good morning. This is your life. You need to go to hospital immediately.
Yeah, like, because it's not only...
Sorry, you go.
Oh, no, sorry, Adam. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to just a quick aside. I just imagine the Liberal Party like communications person just going, "Oh fuck."
Oh, the moment I think Scott Morrison uttered the words to Neil Mitchell or whatever on 3AW of "I don't believe I've ever told a lie in public life," I imagine his communications team went "fuck," because that, like, even if he didn't seem like such an untrustworthy bastard, like the level of scrutiny that will now go under, and even the tiniest thing will undo your credibility in that statement. Your communications people will lose their shit. But not only were there all that huge montage of him saying Shanghai Sam in Parliament and in press conferences or whatever, I've seen there's still Facebook posts on like his official Scott Morrison MP Facebook page that use the term, and they're still up.
Yes.
So you can Google them.
Someone didn't go back and delete them after he even denied using it. Like, they haven't... this is just basic shit, guys.
Very easily verifiable. And the fact is, they don't care. They don't care if you know them to be hypocrites. That's kind of like the fucking bait and switch of it all. It's like it's kind of like Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin wants you to know that he knows that you know that he's lying. When he says, "No, we didn't invade Ukraine," and he like kind of like smirks at the cameras like, "Who's a naughty boy who definitely invaded Ukraine?" Like, he wants you to know that he's lying because that's the power that like the 1984 level power is, like when you can say words and actually change reality based on what you have said. Like, what you say becomes the new reality. That is a new level of fucking misinformation power. Yeah. Like, I really do think that they don't care. And when Barnaby Joyce, I think the only sensible way to answer that question, have you ever lied in public life, is to do what Barnaby Joyce did when he was answered that question. He goes, "I don't know, probably," and then laughs. I'm a big piece of shit. Yeah, I guess, probably.
Yeah, it's I'm sure I've lied about something. Like, yeah, you either have to crack a gag or you're done.
Either response is pretty gross, but
I deny.
There's no good. Like, essentially, have you ever told a lie is probably one of those. It's one of those questions where as soon as you've been asked it, you're fucked.
Yeah, your life's
before
over.
You've even said anything. It's the same as when someone says to you, "Oh, mate, you can never admit when you're wrong." As soon as someone said that to you, you're fucked. Because no matter what you say, you either agree with them and they're like, "Oh, like, fuck off, you're just doing it to blah, blah, blah." Or you say, "No, that's not true," and try to defend yourself, and they'll be like, "See?" So it's one of those rare phrases where just, the very fact it's been uttered has ruined you. Like, you had no control over it. It's a power we all hold over each other, but we can't defend ourselves
Well,
from.
I mean, not that it seems to matter for Teflon Scott, obviously. Like, it doesn't. Nothing seems to fucking stick to him, so it doesn't seem to fucking matter whatsoever. But
yeah, that's fair.
Well,
And like Teflon, it's poisoning us all.
He'll be unhappy though this week because the religious discrimination bill is back in Parliament, back in discussion. The bill that just won't die is back.
Zombie bill.
Its third and final version, apparently.
Oh, good. So if we vote this one down, it never comes back. Then is that how that works?
I don't know.
How? I just get so mad when I see that they're working on stuff like this. It's like the end of the sitting season for the year. It's like the last week of Parliament, and like we're likely headed into an election early next year. So like it might be the last chance that they get to really sort of pass anything through. And I remember our film and TV teacher said to us once, like, when you watch a film, you want to see the first thing that they show you and the last thing that they show you, because they're like really important moments that they've chosen to sort of be capstones for this film. And like when the first thing that they do is like legislation on discrimination, 18C, and the last thing they do is like religious freedom discrimination legislation that nobody fucking asked for and nobody wants except the Catholic Church. Like, it just shows you where their priorities are. We're in the midst of COVID. There's lots of problems still going on, lots of things that could be solved. How about that Respect at Work report? Very few of which of those things have been actually implemented. How about the the Banking Royal Commission? All those
doing
issues.
Any of the stuff they recommended.
How about doing some of the things that they recommended? How about the federal ICAC, which you said you were going to implement when you were elected in 2019, nearly 3 full years ago? How about maybe working on those things at this very pivotal juncture? And they're like, no. What we'll do instead is we'll allow Catholic schools to fire non-Catholic workers or gay workers. That's the thing that's really important, is allowing people to discriminate based on ardent things that they believe about their religion. And it just shows you where their priorities are. Like, they don't give a fuck if we live or die. They just want to, like we said after the plebiscite that we would give the religious community, we would throw them a bone. And so we're throwing them a bone. We're looking after our core constituency, and that's all there is to it. Like,
but so far they've tried twice, and it still hasn't quite worked. So
they've had a committee that's been headed up by Philip Ruddock, who was also another conservative weasel from the former Liberal government of the Howard era. But even he was saying,
I think he's a weasel apologist, Adam.
Weasel apologist. Sorry. My apologies. Let me get my words straight. Even he and his committee were basically saying, well, this bill doesn't quite stack up. You've got to do more consulting. You've got to, do the work to actually get this bill to work. And there are also questions around, well, why do you want it to work? Because the key problem with this bill...
What's the problem we're solving?
Is that...
Right. What's the problem? Where are people in the streets going, I'm being discriminated against because of my Catholicism? Where are they? Show me them.
The key problem with this bill is that it's like, if you want to have a society that doesn't discriminate, and then you introduce a bill which is about it's meant to be about preventing people discriminating against religious people, but the flip side is the reason why they would be discriminated against is normally because they say something that is in itself discriminatory to other people.
Yes. Yeah,
they don't.
No one's denying Catholic service. No one's saying you can't sit at this bench, or your Catholics have to sit in the back of the bus. That has happened 0 times in this country's history, right? So what they're protecting against is, Christians discriminating against other people and then being allowed to be protected for that discrimination. That's what's actually at play here, right?
And they have revised some of the words and various other things. They've taken out a few clauses here and there, but it's still at its base level. It doesn't work. It doesn't stack up. It still allows for, as George said, those kind of things to happen. And at the end of the day, if you introduce, no matter what kind of legislation it is, if you introduce a piece of legislation that is inherently vague, it doesn't help anyone.
No.
It just makes things worse.
I think what we've learned from legislation in the past is you want the wording to be as vague as possible, right? So it can apply to as many different situations as you could possibly think of. That's, as we said, like with lawyers, they have these long documents, right? And they don't want to be specific at all inside of them, because then that would be completely useless. You just want the vaguest laws possible, and you just roll your dice. You just hope for the best. You just hope everyone plays nice out there and makes good sense of the laws that you've written. That's definitely a good
just
way
let market forces decide the precedents.
Just the invisible hand of the market. Let it jerk everyone off.
This always happens at the end of every election cycle. There's always a rush to be like, get through all the shit that no one cares about, that people do care about, that like all the stuff that's out of the closet, all the black,
all the unpopular stuff.
They try to rush it through just before the election.
Wasn't it metadata laws last time around?
Yeah, there was metadata laws a couple of years ago, just before Christmas. It was them being like, there's definitely going to be terrorists on Christmas, so we got to get this through. And Labour fell for it.
Yeah.
I know we crack on to the Liberals all the time because they're the monkeys in charge right now, but Labour fell for that shit. It still pisses me off.
Mommy, do the terrorists know that it's Christmas? No, they don't, darling. That's why we have to pass these metadata laws.
Yeah, that's why we have to invade everyone's privacy a bit more.
Anyway. It just I know I shouldn't be surprised at the depths, the Mario plumbing level depths that this fucking government will go to, like the cavernous fucking spelunking level depths that they'll stoop to achieve their objectives and pay off their fucking donors. But I don't know, man. Like that
2005 film, The Descent.
I haven't seen that. But we've got this Omicron variant that they're talking about, which could be a whole thing after Delta. There's so much shit going on right now. The country is still in crisis, and the thing that all of our lawmakers are ardently focused on is making sure that a bishop's feelings don't get hurt. It's I just don't I don't understand why, if you really believe in freedom of people to not be discriminated against, those rights are going to abut up against people's right to say whatever the fuck they like about anyone at all times, right? It's the speech equivalent of the Carl Rittenhouse thing, right? The ability to open carry everywhere at all times, with no abridgments, and also the right to defend yourself in all areas at all times with deadly force for whatever reason that you feel like. Those two rights are going to clash into each other. The more you broaden each of those, the more issues you're going to have with people clashing. Am I making sense, or am I rambling?
No, I get you.
Yeah, there are some concepts which are, from a theological, from an ideological perspective, that they clash.
Yes.
And things aren't black and white as we would like them to be. But the more you write rules, the more there are ripple effects from those rules, which you may not expect or could cause problems.
It just seems so. Yeah, kind of like what we were talking about before with Jackie Lambie. You have freedom of choice to say and do what you want, but you don't have freedom of consequences. If you say horrible shit, or if you fire someone from a Catholic school for not being a Catholic, or you those things should I guess you can do them, but there will be consequences. We live in a society, or up until now I've lived in a society where I thought that what we were aiming for was greater equality. And there's a portion of the law that's devoted to making sure religious people specifically aren't discriminated against on the basis of their religion. And that's fine. That should apply to atheists, Catholics, Hindus, anyone and everyone. I'm totally fine with that as being a protection. But where it goes too far is the other part, which says they're protected from any consequences of what they might write. The Israel Folau side of things, they can say what they want, say awful, hateful things about other people, and be protected because they are their,
sincerely held beliefs.
And that just doesn't comport in a civilized society where we want to try and be better and be good to one another. But it's so it's which side of this are you on? Like, I thought you wanted a more fairer, just, better society, and you seem to be making laws that don't comport with that. So what's up with that?
Well, depends. It depends what they view as a fair, better society, right?
I mean, the fact the bill is back for version 3 of it makes you realise that
they want it real bad.
They obviously want it, but obviously, like, if you have to revise it, like, all bills get revised to a point. But if it's been dragging on, when was the plebiscite?
2017.
2017. But it's been dragging on for like 4 years. Like, obviously, like, it's not going to get to where you want it to go. Just drop it and leave it, and then pretend you never did it. Like, you'd be better off denying it rather than having it dragged back through the news cycle side of an election cycle.
I'm pretty sure I never called him Shanghai Sam. I'm pretty sure that's something you made up. I never said that.
Basically. Our last story this week is another one in regards to the Senate and Senate committees, Senate inquiries. We love a good Senate committee and an inquiry into the inquiry and a commission into that inquiry. But there was a Senate inquiry that was meant to be launched into the ABC and SBS's, which are public broadcasters, handling of complaints procedures. Because that, again, as George was saying, obviously a priority, just obviously something.
No. I'm pretty sure how the ABC handles complaints is definitely the top thing that we need to be focused on right now. What about, all the markets crashed in relation to the news that the Omicron variant was here and it might be worse and might be more infectious? Oh, no, yeah, don't worry about that. It's really important that we get the complaints process at the telly sorted.
Good.
Well, can we find a way to maybe claw back some JobKeeper money? No. That's not a priority. What's really a priority is getting the complaints process at the Australian Broadcasting Commission sorted. That's the number one. We want to make sure if we do one thing, and we may only do one thing because we are a Liberal government, other than cutting taxes and helping out our mates who are not rape apologists.
They're not.
No. If there's one thing that we do, we want to make sure that the ABC is investigated because how they handle complaints is of the utmost importance.
Well, you're in luck though, George, because it turns out Sarah Hanson-Young and some other members of the crossbench, Labor's, Greens, other members, blocked it in the Senate. So there is no inquiry. The person who launched it, which was it Andrew someone?
Andrew Bragg.
Andrew Bragg.
The thing that I find so funny about this is that the ABC board has already commissioned an independent review into themselves of their editorial self-regulatory system around complaints handling. Like, this is
let's spend another $1 million of taxpayers' money.
There's already an independent review from an independent third party who's going to present, and it seems like, so it's John McMillan, former Commonwealth and New South Wales Ombudsman, and Jim Carroll, former head of SBS and 10 News. Like, these are not...
doing that, George. I've got no idea what they're doing.
They're not
they're unqualified.
They're not like toadies. They're right. They're not insiders. Like, Jim Carroll used to work at 10 News. Like, these are impartial figures to this, and it's a proper impartial review that's being conducted. And the government's like, I see your impartial review, and I raise you an incredibly partisan review in order to ruin your life because you write bad stories about me.
I mean, they'd received, I think, up until the commission was blocked, they'd received, I think, 12 submissions. So normally the Senate inquiry, you call for submissions from the public and other, interested parties to provide evidence as a part of the inquiry, and they'd received. I
can't believe they received 12,000 submissions. That's so much.
12. So no. Sorry, back up. No, just just
1,200 submissions. That's
no,
still 12.
No, just literally like 6 plus 6 equals 12.
120
1, 2,
submissions.
3, 4, 5, 6. No. Jesus Christ! Stop it.
I'm so confused. So you're saying that there was 12 as
a dozen, one dozen.
1 dozen. A baker's dozen? No, that's too many.
Wait.
A baker's dozen's 13. So you're saying it is one fewer than a baker's dozen number of complaints.
Yes. Correct.
I think we should probably spend a couple $1 million of taxpayers' money to get to the bottom of that, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Seems reasonable to
All
me.
12 of them from Scott Morrison.
Tom, if you had to submit a complaint to the ABC, how would you want it to be handled?
I guess it would depend what the complaint was. If it was just... Well, my number one beef with the ABC is that ABC iView isn't streamed in HD. So that's probably the only complaint that I would level at them.
Ida
and I would
Buttrose.
want that to go straight up to ITA.
Ida, can I just say,
honest.
720p is not HD anymore, okay? Get your shit together. 1080p or GTFO.
I feel it's not even 720. It's horrific. But anywho, no, how would I want it handled? I mean, I guess someone should read it. At least. I don't know. What's the beef? I'd imagine, I don't know how I'd want a complaint handled.
This is how they handle it. So, editorial complaints at the ABC are examined by 5 members of a complaints handling unit called Audience and Consumer Affairs. This unit is at arm's length from the editorial division and reports regularly to the ABC board. So, and the board obviously takes it quite seriously. So, the question being is, if they're not happy with that...
Sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds pretty good. I don't know what they're not happy with. What would you rather happen?
Oh, well, they keep... but they keep running all that anti-Scott Morrison hullabaloo, guys, so clearly it's not working.
It's not anti-Scott Morrison hullabaloo if you're just reporting the truth. If
you're
just saying, like, here are
things he has said and done.
Here are the 13 times that you did in fact say Shanghai Sam, and we're going to play some for you. That's not being partisan. That's just adhering to the universe of facts as we understand them. That's just reporting. Yeah. That's just news.
As soon as the government stops walking into this low-hanging bar, I'll stop reporting on the fact that they've been walking into a low-hanging bar.
Yeah, it's like blaming the ABC because like the Morrison government keeps hitting themselves in the head with a fucking hammer and then going, why are you guys hitting me in the head with a fucking hammer? It's just like, I'm just on the sidewalk taking pictures of you smacking yourself in the face with a hammer and tweeting. That's all I'm doing is I'm taking pictures of you being a fucking idiot and telling everyone about it. Like, stop being a fucking idiot and I won't have anything to report.
Good. But yeah, Omicron's coming. Everyone get excited.
Great. Thumbs up.
Yeah, that was scary news to see.
There's no real data on it yet.
Well, but it's just, things are opening up here in Australia sort of a bit more. It was looking like, all right, but this time it might stick because we've got high vaccination rates and that's all good. And then a new variant that, fingers crossed, doesn't tank next year.
You remember
it's almost like we've done this before. It's having a weird...
Remember how in 2020 we were like, see you 2020, you suck. 2021 is going to be so much better. Bye 2020, 2020 sucks. See you later 2020, bye. And then we hit 2021 and then 2021 just like, you guys remember that steamroller in the Austin Powers film, was The Spy Who Loved Me? Or it's just like...
it's in the first one, isn't it? The steamroller that's just slowly coming towards
like,
him.
No, stop, and just screaming at it and just slowly rolls him over the course of about 3 minutes and just like just completely crushes his body. That's what 2021 was. And so I feel like we might be headed for like, see you 2021, bye bish. 2021, you suck. 2022, it's hot vax girl summer. Let's get it done. And Omicron's the steamroller this time round. Like, I just drew a meme. Someone make that happen. But
can I also just point out that Omicron literally, I'm pretty sure it's a Transformer name. Like it's almost like they've gone straight into Transformers and gone, let's name this thing fucking something cool.
It's a Greek alphabet letter. Yeah.
Greek alphabet letter.
Yeah.
Or a Transformer. I'm just saying.
Also, if Omega, when we get to the Omega variant, if that's not the deadliest variant, it's going to sound very misleading because Omega has it's got that nefarious quality to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It's the Omega variant. It's kind of fine. You get the sniffles.
Why does the Greek
Oh,
alphabet have 2 O's in it?
Why
Omicron and why do they go? Oh,
well, but they don't look like what? Hang on, they don't look like the same letter though. That's just how you say them.
Yeah. But why would you have a letter that sounds the same?
But it doesn't. One sounds like Omicron, one sounds like Omega.
Yeah, but it starts with the same. It just wrecks with my
Yeah, but what about
white person brain.
what? That's like B and C end in a similar sounding thing, but they just
It's got nothing
start
to
a
do
little
with.
different.
Look, you guys can have your
am I
literary.
high? Like, why does my head?
I think Adam just made all of us high. What just happened?
What just
No,
happened?
Omicron and Omega, they both start with O.
On that
And
note,
it sounds
we have
silly.
been, we
It's
are, and we
stupid.
always will be Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Make sure you find us on all the bullshit social medias that have, do, or ever will exist at Unnatural Show. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and motherfucking TikTok. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at George Tsipos.
You can follow me on Twitter at Tom D Heath.
You can follow me on Instagram at AC Dream.
And you can follow us all down to our favorite place, Greek school, where we'll be learning and debating the various letters of the Greek alphabet for many months to come.
I do not care. I do not care if they gave us Poetics, the Odyssey, the foundations of Western civilization.
What are the ancient
Why
Greeks
did
ever
they
given
have?
us?
Why did they decide to have two letters that have got the same starting letter if we say it in terms of the way you say it?
What have the Greeks ever given us?
Built
Platonic,
in English, Adam.
Platonic ethics?
Well, how did they sound in Greek then?
But they don't start with O's in Greek.
What do they start with?
What?
Well, what if Greek letters? I don't know. I don't speak Greek.
Okay. Thanks for listening, guys. Love your faces. We'll see you next week. Jesus Christ.